सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयम् करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Clarification was sought, especially since we are understanding karma to be physical, mental and oral. Physical, oral and mental, three kinds of karmas, as has also got covered in Upadeshasaram. So those who have been doing physical karmas in the form of daily prayers and worship, the question was asked that they have graduated to doing it at a mental level, because as the book says, as we have learned, that mental karma is the subtlest compared to oral and compared to physical, the kaika, vachika, manasa karma. So karma done at the level of manasam is subtle and therefore also needs a lot more concentration to do. That's why it's subtle. So is it okay to shift to mental? Is a clarification sought, that if we drop our physical karmas and just do mental, the same karmas. The book Gita says to a grahastha ashrami that even when you shift your karmas mentally, you may have grown above the need to do them physically. But as long as you're in a grahastha ashram and you are in relations to some generations above and below you, especially for the sake of generations below you, younger to you, for the sake of those generations, you must continue to do your physical karmas as well. Now, what will be the status of that physical karma? If you have grown into doing it at a mental level, because at a mental level, we learned that you get free of time and space and causation, and to quite an extent, if the intention is clear, even the methodology is okay to slip into. This way, that way. Ideally, manasa karma would be a replicate of a physical karma at the mental level. But if the intention is absolutely unison with Ishvara, and in unison with Ishvara, if your method slips, the Bhagwan is not seeing that you have slipped a step. Bhagwan is recognizing the subtlest in you. And the subtlest in you was the intention. So, from that standpoint, it almost becomes that you're free of the entire realm of karma. If your intention is clear, then next question gets asked, is it okay not to do also? Because my intention is clear. So, once the intention is clear, Manasa karma itself has to be a replicate of physical karma. But if you slip, it's okay. But it doesn't mean you slip is okay, means you slip more often than you not. Slipping is inadvertently done. Slipping is, in that sense, an exception is allowed. In the physical karma, it becomes even more stricter. Even here, slipping is allowed. But to that an extent, mind has more freedom. So what is the status of that karma now, which is only done mentally? You are doing it mentally, but what happens to the physical karma ka status? That karma is now called Loka Sangraha. Because that karma is now only as a role, as a sample, is only now sustained so that others who see get inspired. The other younger generations around you who are not yet fully formed their knowledge, don't have clarity, like we've been building upon that thought. If you just remove the aspect of lighting the lamp itself, you've removed the very significance of what it means to a person. In the same way, all physical karmas in a grahasthashrama's life have to be continued. The Gita says it very, 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 very clearly. There is no doubt about it. That is why Krishna is giving the example to Arjuna, as your ancestors did. They were Gyanis, they were Grahastha Gyanis, and he gives the example of Janaka, etc. Those that were Gyanis, you don't have to. Yes, Shreshta Acharaha, but those who were Gyanis do not have to really do the karma, but just for the sake of Shreshta Achara, but for the sake of just exhibiting it for the who are now seeing you and forming the impression, just for the continuity, for their sake, that karma gets into Loka Sangraha. Now all these yajnas that are coming, these yajnas except Daivam, which is a physical yajna, most of these are having a separate status in themselves. Indriya yajna will obviously be done inside. There's no physical doing of that yajna. Physical is the yajna. The whole thing is a mental exercise. It's a mental oblation. Now what the verse is coming, so we have finished up to verse number 27, where 5 yajnas have been covered. Deva Yajna, Brahma Yajna in the 25th verse, Indriya Sanyama and Indriya Vishaya Yajna in the 26th verse, 3rd and 4th, and the 5th verse, which says Mano Nigraha or Atma Sanyama, also Shama. So the 3rd one was Dama, the 5th one is Shama. Now in the 28th verse, he's talking about 5 more yajnas. Now you will find that in these yajnas, there is a physical component involved. So the question that with reference to all these yajnas, can you do them mentally? No, because there are certain yajnas which are physical composed physically to be done. So those that are physically to be done need to be physically, those yogis do it physically. Like what? We'll start with the 28th verse.
योगयज्ञास्तथा परे स्वाध्यायज्ञानयज्ञाश्च यतयः संशितव्रताः द्रव्ययज्ञास्तपोयज्ञाः योगयज्ञास्तथा परे स्वाध्यायज्ञानयज्ञाश्च यतयः संशितव्रताः.
So, 28th verse, 5 yajnas. The first line has 3 yajnas. Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna. And last word, tatha apare, means also others are doing these yajnas. The word apare goes with every yajna. Dravya yajna apare means some do dravya yajna. Tapo yajna apare, some do tapo yajna. Yoga yajna apare, some do yoga yajna. The second line has 2 yajnas. Swadhyaya yajna and Jnana yajna. Yatayaha means those who are in strife of it, those who strive for it, those who do prayatnam. They are very committed. Samshita vrataha, Shankara says, they are very dedicated, very committed, very sincere. So some very sincerely, dedicatedly, Shankara will use a very beautiful word. When we come to it, I will explain it. Very dedicatedly, very sincerely, they follow these various yajnas now. Now what is dravya yajna? Again, as a Moolam says, if you just take Moolam, dravya yajna is giving away of your material acquisitions, whatever you have excess. The excess of your material gains in your life, what you don't need, distributing it in a Moola Drishti will become dravya yajna. Normal term is danam. But Shankara refines it further. And he says in the Bhashyam, dravya yajnaha tirtheshu dravya viniyogam yajna buddhaya kurvanti yete dravya yajnaha. What is really called dravya yajna? Is danam the same as dravya yajna? So, in a Moolam understanding, you would call dravya yajna as danam. Leave it. But Shankara says the difference between danam and dravya yajna is that this danam is a yajna. Is to be done as a yajna. So just giving away, like in the Gita also, there is a qualification for danam to the right person at the right place at the right time, deserving person. Only that giving is called danam. But Shankara here adds the word tirtheshu. Tirtheshu means all your tirath places. Those tirath places are called punya kshetre. The places which have been allocated for doing punya karma. Very interesting this concept is if you think about it further. In this country, the Vedas have always ruled the living system, organization of living a life. I still am struggling to find the right words for it. Vedas have ruled the way in which people organized their living, their society, their methods of behavior, their vyavhar, जीवन को एक ब्लैंक स्लेट देखना और उसको बिल्कुल सेंसेस के साथ जीना एक तरीका, बट टू ब्रिंग इट इन द मॉडल दैट यू यूज योर लाइफ द बेस्ट, इन दैट मॉडल ऑफ लाइफ वेदास concept of the biggest concept that you are an eternal being. The Vedas drishti of you as any living being, not just you the human being. Any living being, Vedas drishti is it's an eternal being. Eternal being means that death is not a final end for you. शरीर गिरता है, लेकिन शरीर गिरने से आप मर नहीं गए. So the idea to convey that you are an eternal being and you only keep coming and going. You take birth, the body dies. Body is born, body dies. You come into the body, you leave the body. You come in, it's exactly like shifting homes. You come into a home, stay for a time, you leave the home. Then you go to another home because you are not nowhere in between. You take on to another home, so you go and live in another home. Now you live in that home for some time. Nobody just lives in a home and then, you live in that home and then you leave that. Live and then leave. Live and then leave. That is birth and death. You live and you leave. This living and leaving ke beech pe, you have in a human birth all opportunities in every manner, for which they said to bring it to the higher aspect of yourself, to recognize that this eternal being is not a coming and a going one, but the eternal being is actually the one who doesn't come and go, in whom this comes and goes. To differentiate between the two, you will have to work it out. ये भगवान की कृपा से एक दिन नहीं होगा. भगवान की कृपा है कि तुम्हें ये जन्म मिला. भगवान की कृपा है तुम्हें फैकल्टी मिली. भगवान की कृपा है कि तुम्हें सब व्यवस्था है. सब व्यवस्था है. When I was coming, for me this coming morning is always one, ever since, even when I used to go to Friends Colony, I always used to find one example in the morning on the way that would inspire me like anything. Just now, over here, right under that bridge, there's so many slum people living. A young mother, sari clad, just a sari clad mother, and a small baby. Both of them are running and the face is absolutely joyful. Running on a footpath, as if they're racing. The mother is just behind the child. The child is like typically a mother and a child do. And the question comes to you, happiness is dependent on what? For that moment, their struggle and our struggle, are they even equatable? And yet, all the opportunity that the privileged people have these opportunities, privileges got converted into making them more thinking people, making them more refined people, making them more objective people, making them more detached people, making them more spiritual people is what I'm making them more happy people, if I equate spiritual to happiness. Has it made them more happy? Then you realize no. Veda's drishti is, this life is your full opportunity. आप इस जन्म को कैसे अपना पास ऑन करोगे, for which that you travel from one house to another house is dependent, where you will get the new house is dependent upon your existing bulk of your karma. Those karmas, because Veda views that moksha is also a purusharth you can aspire for, it has placed certain areas, sthan, कि उस स्थान को वो एसोसिएशन बना दिया कि इस स्थान में यू कैन स्पेंड योर टाइम. व्यवस्था उस स्थान की ऐसी है दैट देयर यू कैन डू योर स्पिरिचुअल एक्टिविटीज. यू कैन डू इट एनीवेयर, बट when you have a sthan which is organized in such a way where punya karma or manan is easier to do because the vyavastha. Now supposing you go to a temple and there is no phool wala there is no chadhave wala sitting outside. You have to organize it from home and then take. But if you already have a vyavastha that is just outside the temple, you just take it from there, and that means it's a vyavastha. This land where the vision was that a human being has to aspire for his higher evolutionary status, let's put it this way. For that, he had to work through his existing karma. And that realm of karma kshetra, where dharmic karmas were done, those dharmic karma ka kshetra was called Tirath. Like you have Vrindavan, you have Govardhan, you have Varanasi, you have, in India you have SSS Sthana. That is why Shankara went to 4 different places and 4 mathas were established for the same thing. Because it is not कि एक ही स्थान को आप तीर्थ बना सकते हो, मगर आप जिस स्थान को तीर्थ बनाते हो उस स्थान में अब तीर्थ कर्म होते हैं. They are supposed to be pre-done. Yes, now we are not discussing, I am discussing the model in which it was laid out. That way, those were the places where you could execute the karma. And Shankara says, तीर्थेषु द्रव्य विनियोगम. विनियोग का मतलब है अपने से अलग करना, योग का मतलब है अपने से जोड़ना. Viniyog means separate. The dravya that you separate from yourself what you had owned. That means you give it away. You give it away in where? Tirath places. Is that enough to qualify? And most of us stop there. We think, when you go to those, when I remember as a child when we used to go from Delhi to Bombay, there's this river there. I don't even know which river it is, but it used to come in somewhere in the early morning or something, and mom would wake up and say, "She'd give us some coins," and we had to put those coins in the. It's even now. And then you would see the fishermen collecting them, and I would always question, "Yeah, why do you wake us up? Because they are collecting it. तो उनको सीधा उन्हीं को दे दो ना. Why do you put it in the river? Just go and give it anywhere. Just take out some, give it to them straight away." You didn't understand the significance, but now you understand. The reason is you are only supposed to do what you are supposed to do. You are not supposed to check the receiver's attitude. वो उसका कर्म क्षेत्र है, वो उसकी कर्म भूमि है, वो उसकी फ्री विल है. लेने वाला कैसे ले रहा है वो आप पे नहीं निर्भर हो सकता है, और लेने वाला गलत ले रहा है उससे यू हैव टेकन अवे द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू डू द राइट थिंग योरसेल्फ. Argument, yes, you will turn up and say, but you are encouraging the wrong things. We are not talking about all this. Secular vision, I am not talking about. I am talking about the Vedic vision. In the Vedic vision, what was Tirath Yatra mein diya hua daan is the context. Our argument today is that, arey, what is the point of doing all this? Yahin pe de do. The point is, all these places were given a sthan where you could detach yourself from your secular life and its involvements, जहां अहम और ममा और सब कुछ आपका भारी हो जाता है. Detach yourself from there, and you, the same lifetime you also have to spend to earn some punyam. The very karma that has 2 aspects, 2 phalam coming to it, drishta, adrishta phalam. All secular actions will only have drishta phalam, but all religiously done, Vaidically done, Ishvara Arpanam done, Ishvara in the context done, also brings up the Adrishta Phalam, which makes it Yajna. So he says, Dan, done with Yajna Buddhi. Dravya Yajna Tirtheshu, in Tirath, Punya places, Punya Kshetre, Dravya Viniyogam, separating your dravyam from yourself. Yajna buddhaya kurvanti, ye kara hua. So this cannot be a mental action. Kurvanti means do it, which means this is a physical. Dravya yajna is a physical yajna. So mentally, if I imagine a person and I give it, it's not a yajna. It is still a prayer. That Sarve Bhavantu is all a prayer. It's something like that. But this will only mean doing a yajna buddhi, having a yajna buddhi, and then doing dravya yajna. And yajna buddhi, now we are fairly clear, I think. Yajna buddhi clearly means that special prayerful karma. Special karma is the term I can best say at the moment. Specialized karma is better. Specialized method of doing the karma in which Ishvara is introduced. With a yajna buddhi, that is called dravya yajna. So some people do dravya yajna. Others do tapo yajna. Tapa yajnaha yesham tapasvina te tapo yajnaha. All these terms are referring to people. The ones who are doing tapasya. Tappa, by very word we all know, tapata hai. It gives you tapata hai. That's it. Hindi ka tapana ya. In a common parlance, when someone's chewing your brain, उसके पीछे से आप बोलते हो ना तपाता है बड़ा है, बहुत तपाता है, which means what? पकाता है, पकाता है, बहुत पकाता है, बहुत अच्छा पकाता है, तपाता है,
तड़पाता है.
We've all got it. Those are the places you get a chance to do tapo yajna. Because they are giving you a chance to do tapas. Tapas is that where you take on deliberately some suffering, predominantly bodily suffering. You take on some bodily suffering within your capacity. That is called tapas. So you see all these people in like Govardhan Parikrama, Shashtang karte karte, they will do the whole parikrama. This is a form of tapas. People will stand on one leg and offer their namaskar to Surya in Jal, in Ganges, etc. Tapas, by understanding, means between all your senses, undertaking some sort of a physical difficulty, which is otherwise a source of sorrow to you. But you are converting it into tapas. If you are not, say, okay, anything that is displeasurable, hardship, anything that has a hardship in it, displeasurable, most of us slip into the tendency of grumbling, grudging, complaining, crying, passing the buck, etc. Tapas is holding it from there, keeping it to yourself, deliberately going through the suffering. Only caution in tapo yajna is it must always be within the capacity. Who determines the capacity? You yourself determine the capacity. So tapas doesn't mean that you break your capacities and do more tapas. That's not tapas. That's self-destruction. Especially like some people will very firmly adhere to certain kind of austerities to the extent that they start harming themselves. Now that will cease to be tapas. Because the greatest learning is this entire body is is a God's abode. You cannot harm this being here and then think you will benefit yourself. Means on one hand you harm yourself, on the other hand you are doing the tapas thinking that more tapas by harming myself I am benefiting myself. That's contradiction. So tapas is, tapo yajna means taking on deliberately some sort of a discipline where you have to go through some little difficulty, some hardship, some effort. Like a lot of people take monam, they do fasting, they do parikramas, they do, also I remember Govardhan Mein, you do the whole parikrama without wearing your footwear. That's a tapas. It's a way of taking on certain hardship, because when you go through that little hardship, the first thing that comes up for those who have done it, the first thing that comes up is you begin to see the temporariness of all the sense of reality that you hold with your conditions of happiness. Second thing that if you pass through that stage, suddenly comes the stage of strength in you, because you realize that you survive it all. So those people who have a weakness, say, all of us as we grow older, our stomachs start talking at the time at which they have been fed, especially disciplined people. Those who don't get used to eating in between, if you're used to eating at 8 o'clock or 7:30 or 9 o'clock, then after 3, 4, 5 years, you'll realize whether you're hungry or not, your stomach tells you you're hungry. And that time is a very difficult time because the brain is giving you the signal, you're hungry, you need to eat. If you have taken a fast that day and you choose to skip it, after another hour or so, you wonder, I didn't eat anything, but where has the hunger gone? And you see that you've survived that vega. That push from within that would push, like yesterday we said, this push from inside will push your indriya. And once that indriya gets pushed, naturally you will be a bhaga dauda insan, because your indriya will be so active that you can't sit quiet. Your mind will become restless, and once the mind becomes restless, you will have to put your organs of action into action to fulfill this mind to actually get quiet. It will be nothing to do with the stomach, because the stomach is okay. It is to do with the mind at that time. So scripture Veda always said, every prani, jiva, here I am talking about the human being now, every human being who wants to utilize his life for his spiritual unfoldment also, must keep some aspect of yoga. Of some yajna, tapas yajna, tapo yajna. That tapo yajna many people take on, is what the book is telling us. Many people do that because it's a part of the Vedic understanding. Then others do yoga yajna. Now yoga yajna we all understand as yoga. And Shankara says, pranayama pratyahar adi lakshana yogaha yajnaha yesham te yoga yajnaha. So yoga yajnaha is referring to the people who do the yoga yajna. But yoga yajna, again pranayam pratyahar, if you say it kind of amounts to ashtang yoga, but ashtang yoga is already mentioned before, so some commentators get into nuances that it can't be repeated. So one commentator would mention it as saying that this part is only referring to what has not come yet, which is only your yama, niyama and asana. So yoga yajna here refers to yama, niyama and asana of the ashtang yoga, because pranayam is coming in the next verse and dharana, dhyana and samadhi came in the previous verse, atma sanyama yoga mein. So he says, which is Madhusudana Saraswati, he says this is only talking about yama, niyama and asana, which means they are actually doing the up to the asan part. But if you look at it a little more deeper, then yama, niyama has also gone into the previous sense controls, do's and don'ts, but these do's, so broad outlines. What we need to only figure out is, or understand importantly is, people have the flexibility. I will put it this way. In the Vedic view, we have the flexibility to choose our spiritual disciplines as per our need, as per our requirement, and we are not bound by them. That is the joy of this culture. That your disciplines don't bind you. You are not taken to punishment in hell if you are not going to follow your disciplines. You still continue to be the divine person who you are, whether you follow your disciplines or you don't follow your disciplines. If you feel the need to follow them, you have a whole buffet of disciplines around you. You can pick what you like according to your taste. and you abide in them as long as you want. The day you find that you don't need them, you can pick up another one. All these are, it's literally throwing a gamut of this. And I will add a statement here to say, if you understand the principle, this principle is so beautiful that you create your tapas. You create new yajnas. In this principle, you actually can get so creative in choosing the yajna. You can designer yajna. You can make a designer yajna. Fit to your requirement. Fit to your type. Yeah? Fit to your body type, fit to your requirement, fit to your taste, fit to your color, you fit it the way you want. That much flexibility it has. Because the principle is understood, the application is variable. Each one can modify the application to his own sense. And yoga, some people do that. Sorry. Then others, he says, some tatha apare swadhyaya jnana yajnaha. The second line. Others do swadhyaya and jnana yajna is another yajna. So here swadhyaya is differentiated from jnana yajna. Swadhyaya yajna was actually only doing Parayanam. Veda Parayana. Again, the Vedic culture was children were first exposed to a lot of learning, memorization. And memorization of this material on which the mind could think tomorrow when they grow up. By the time they become thinking people, those words alaukik and laukik were already memorized so that they could reflect on it or they understand the meaning correctly when they grow up. So the first part of the Brahmacharya Avastha was spent only in doing Veda Parayanam. And here also Shankara specifies to say Yatha Vidhi. Swadhyayaha Yatha Vidhi Rig Adi Abhyasaha. Means the Parayanam of their respective Shakha. Yatha Vidhi meant if you were your lineage had Rig Veda, then you were only supposed to learn Rig Veda. You were not supposed to learn the other Veda, Shakhas. The other Shakhas, so there was no intermixture of this learning. This kind of an looking at each other and then learning because he's learning, I will also, this kind of a thing was kept curtailed. Each one was to learn only what they'd taken birth with. In that particular shakha was what was to be learned, because Veda Parayanam being the first part of the Brahmacharya Avastha, once they had memorized it, then they were given the meaning of it, the Pathanam, Veda Pathanam part of it. But even in Veda Pathanam, only the Karma Kanda Pathanam was given to them in the Brahmacharya Avastha. So once you have learnt the Veda, and then you had also learned the Karmakand part of it, the Vedanta part of it was only given to the sannyasi or from the brahmachari who was going to skip the grahastha and take to sannyas. So Veda Anta part, the Jnanakand part, was withheld from those who were going to enter into grahasthashram. They only in the Karamkand part, whatever came, portion of explanation of the higher. But first, the discipline of the person to follow a niyam, a life of detachment, a life of doing your duty with detachment. First was introduced this as a discipline. And when the mind matured, and here the flexibility was that there were people whose minds were ready for not entering into grahasthashram, they were taken very early away straight into preparation for sannyasa ashram, and there Vedanta Shravanam, Vedanta Mananam, Vedanta Adhyanam, along with the karma part and the upasana part, but now not as a karma kanda part, but all the others that we have studied as karma yoga part, they were taken on. This is swadhyaya. And then what is jnana yajna? Jnana shastrartha parigyanam. Yajnaha yesham te yajnaha. So when this Veda Pathanam part was there, means understanding what was given there in the Veda. You learnt it, was Swadhyaya. Now you understand what is written, that is Jnanam. Some people do the Jnana Yajna. They are still, this Jnana Yajna is which Jnana Yajna? Not the Brahma Jnana Yajna. Because he is mentioning it separately. So this Jnana Yajna is the Karma Kanda Jnana Yajna. So learning about them and implementing them. Yatayaha, the Moolam word. Who are these who are putting effort of this nature? Yatana Shilaha. Yatana Shil hai wo. They are, and who's people who put in effort? Samshita Vrataha. Who's Samshita Vrataha? He says Samyak Shitani. Samshita Vrataha are those who are, Samyak is comprehensive. Shitani is, he gives another meaning for Shitani, which is Tanukritani. And he gives another meaning for Tanukritani, Tikshni Kritani. And all of them mean they are very, very sharp. Means Tikshna, means itna fine. बहुत बारीकी से अपनी तपस्या करते हैं, यज्ञ करते हैं. They are very careful to the measure of what they do. That is why in those days, even now, if you find someone who is trying to follow a spiritual life, their disciplines an average person doesn't understand. They don't see what is the need to do such strong measures. Why do you need to be so rigid, they will say. You know. But truth is, it's not that they are removing you or they are ostracizing somebody else. It is that they are so careful of their own discipline, because these are the disciplines, they know the refinement of it changes the phal. क्योंकि अब फल कर्म में नहीं है ना, अब फल की क्वालिटी कैसे बदलेगी? 10 लोग सेम कर्म करेंगे, 10 लोग से द्रव्य यज्ञ, सब इकट्ठे गए as a group you go, and as a group when you go, all of them have done dravya yajna, but all of them will get different results. Based on what? The quality of the yajna buddhi along with their own past interfering in the present. Mixture will bring about the future result. Each one's past will impact the present and the present. So the ones who are on this path seriously, they are very, very careful about their present and what they do. And that is where I think a lot of people in the older generation, I know, met some really fortunate to have such people who were strict about their principles of life. And when they were so strict that even if their family members did not understand them, beyond a point they did not bother to explain. They kept quiet but kept doing what they were supposed to do. As children, when you saw them growing up, you didn't understand. But as grown up, you understand the importance of that strictness for their own self. You know, why they were so hell-bent on abiding by those principles. Because tikshni kritani, tanu kritani. These yatayaha are not the ones who have a kamchalau habit. Aaj nahi hua, kal kar lete hain. It's okay, you know, how all of us are. Most of us would be. They are not sloppy. That's the right word. They are not sloppy. They're not sloppy. And they have a different appearance. Because, you know, if you're not physically sloppy, if you're not mentally sloppy, you will not be physically sloppy. So that tikshni kritani is indicative of that constant mental alertness with which they abide in the discipline. And that keeps it active. And now in the next verse, can continue.
Apani jurvati pranam prani panam tatha pare प्राणापानगतिरुद्ध्वा प्राणायामपरायणाः अपाने जुह्वति प्राणम् प्राणे पानं तथा परे प्राणापानगतिरुद्ध्वा प्राणायामपरायणाः.
The others, apare, they do pranayam as a yajna. And this pranayam yajna in this verse has three components, like pranayam has generally. One is, first component is, some people do apane juhvati pranam. The first part of the first line. Apane juhvati pranam is the first part of pranayam. Prane apanam tatha. The second subsection of pranayam is this. Prane apanam tatha. Apare means with both. Third is prana pana gati rudhva. So same word pranayam has three exercises in it. Some does the first exercise, some do the second exercise, and some do the third exercise. What is the first exercise? First is apane juhvati pranam. Means inhalation is offered exhalation is offered in inhalation. I'll explain. Simple words first, so that, because this is rearranging the brain words. Exhalation, offer exhalation in the fire of inhalation. Offering exhalation in the fire of inhalation. Normally we understand prana as incoming, apana as outgoing. But if you remember long ago, some yoga, when we first time did the meditation, that time we said in the scripture, actually the definition of pran and apan is ulta. Which means, जिसको हम अपान कह रहे हैं आज, उसको शास्त्र प्राण कहता है. और जिसको हम प्राण कहते हैं, उसको वो अपान कहता है. And Shankara here gives the definition for it. Why it is called apan and why is that called pran? Means outgoing breath is called pran. My brain is still writing it, so I get mixed up with the words very badly. And ingoing breath is called apan. What is apan? He says apana vrittau juhvati prakshipanti. Means apana vrittau is the process. Apan का जो process है, prakshipanti, they offer that. Pranam, prana vrittim. First is the breakup. Purak akhyam cha pranayamam kurvanti iti arthaha. Purak is inhalation. Why is it purak? Because fill in. You fill the lungs in. Filling in of the lungs, purak, that process with which you are filled up. The lungs are filled up. That purak akhyam cha pranayamam kurvanti. So, some people are emphasizing, they concentrate on filling aspect of the pranayam, breathing. Means when you are breathing fully inside, that breathing is offered into what is not there as breath. I know, very difficult to understand. Let's just say breathing is offered inside. Breathing in, apana. into what? Prana. What is prana? Going out, which means when you are breathing in, you are not taking it out. You can only do one, no? So when you are breathing in, you have as if held back, sacrificed the release of the air. So you breathe in fully and sacrifices that you have held back the release of the air. One of them is going to complete, one of them only can be done at one time. So you're breathing in, full breathing. All of us breathe only very shallow, very, very shallow. And that is the big reason why they say that when you grow old also, you have a lot of breathing problems, because our lungs from the beginning haven't got fully expanded. You know, physiologically, you have airbags inside, air capsules inside, alveoli. If you do not keep them fully expanded, they shrink down. It's like muscles. So pranayam was an exercise which was actually exercising the lungs to their full capacity. So if you just do it as a pranayam, part of your yoga, this is not yajna. It will only improve your lungs, but it will not give you adrishtam, because it's not associated as a yajna. It's not an arpanam. So what are these people doing it as a yajna? When they offer the breath in that process of offering is called the yajna. This is Ishvara offering. Offered into the fire of the absence, the holding back that I have held back. So it becomes a prayer. This some people do. Prane apanam tatha apare juhvati. The others do the reverse, which means they exhale fully. So you inhale passively, but you exhale consciously. You exhale fully. That full exhalation of it is what is called rechaka. Rechaka akhyam, Shankara says. And this is pranayam terminology anyway. Rechaka akhyam cha pranayamam kurvanti ityarthaha. Means some do puraka pranayam as a yajna. Others do rechaka pranayam as a yajna. And what is pranayam? He says pranayam is prana apana gati. The movement of prana and apana from where? Mukha nasika bhyam. From your mouth and your nostrils. Vayoho nirgamanam. The movement of the air from the nostril and the mouth. Pranasya gatihi is called pranki gati. So pranayam is actually made up of two words, prana and ayam. Ayam itself is two words. Yama is the word. A is the prefix. Yama by now we know means control. Good control, complete control is ayama. Ayama is complete control and pran ka complete control is pranayam. So pranayama means complete control over the prana. And which prana here? Differentiating it from the previous prana karmani. Because pranas can be prana, apana, etc. Here he says specifically the prana which is mukha nasika. Gatihi. Vayu gatihi. The vayu which is the previous verse hadn't taken the bahya vayu. Was taking only the antar vayu. Yajna of the previous verse was antar vayu. This verse yajna is the bahya vayu. So those vayus that get thrown out and get taken in from outside, they do control of this. And in both of them, further he says, Prana mukhanasika vayoho nirgamanam pranasya gatihi tad viparyayena adho gamanam apanasya gatihi. And this is the definition of apanam. He says they are both in opposite directions. Adho gamanam apanasya gatihi. When the breath has a downward movement, it is called apan. A direction of the breath which is going downward is called apan. That is why inhalation is apan, because the air is going from outside into the lungs, which is down, and apan also has apana gatihi. From the lower aspect of the body also, the air that comes out. So both places the air is going out. Shankara says the pranayam is referring to the only upper part of the body. Apan, since the definition of apan is air going down, so the air from bottom part of the body is also apan. Air going into the body is also apan. Pranayam is mukhanasika gatihi. That apana which is from the mouth and the nose, control of this is the apana pranayam. That is the yajna here. Clear? Adho gamanam is the definition. This way only you can remember it. My marker was A and A because I keep overwriting. Itne saalon ki overwriting of pran is inhalation and apan is exhalation. पहले उसको रटने में मुझे बहुत time लगा था because inhalation, exhalation is what you had studied in your, and then you learned a prana, and now you have to rewrite. And that's the time you realize you're really growing old, because every time you have to rewrite the words on the, it takes effort. So my indicator is A and A. Adho gamanam, I am now able to remember Sanskrit fortunately. Adho gamanam is apana. And that is very seeable. Air going downwards. So apan, see how every word is actually a description. The name is a description. How do you know what is an apan? How has the name come? The name has come because of the direction of it. Te prana pana gati ete rudva nirutya pranayama parayanaha. In this manner, those who stop the breath, either in apana, kumbhaka, or in rechaka, prana, rudva, they stop it there. So when you take the inhalation, full inhalation, you stop the breath. That stopping the breath is yajna, because you're not exhaling now, straight away. That stopping in as in a yajna kund, as if you've offered it in the yajna of life force, fire of life. The others are doing outside. And not only that, what makes it yajna? This, every time they breathe in, they associate it with some name or some mantra or some chant. Or those who do Rechaka Pranayam, every time they do the breathing out, they associate it with some name of the god. So we know of someone who would always focus, like Ram Tirtha we had heard for the first time. He did this pranayama, yajna a lot, but he associated it with Aham Brahmasmi. So every time he took a breath in, he said Aham Brahmasmi. And every time he took the breath out, he said Neti Neti. In his mind, I'm not this body. So he kept on doing this. It seems for a few months he did this. Constant pranayama to say I am Brahman and I'm not this body. So you throw out, then question in our discussion group came, why did he do this? Because the idea was that you want to throw out you want to negate what is false. So he associated the I'm not the body with throwing out. Because your actual word is also, prana gamanam is also actually that air which goes away from your body. That's why it's called prana. Like adho gamanam, prana gamanam is the breath which goes, air that goes away from you, thrown out from you. So exhalation is air thrown out. So it's prana. Inhalation is thrown in. So it's apana. Both of them, when you associate with some name, we know of some sannyasi who would do Om Namah Shivaya with every breath. Every time. It's like, so picking up some Ishvara word, association. Associating Ishvara with the exercise. Only then will it become yajna. Exactly. Non-associated with Ishvara, it is a health exercise. So only your health will benefit, but you will get no benefit of the chitta. Chitta vyapar will not change. Your mind will not change. Your mind will continue to be, if anything, it will only get more strengthened with I am the body, because you are doing the exercise for the sake of the body. So this is also another reason why all these yogis were associating every exercise, even for the body, with the higher. Because even indirectly you should not strengthen the thought that I am the body. Otherwise all your effort on one side, for something higher, you want all the tapas, and on the other side you've got your vessel you are filling in, and on the other end you have a leak. A very small crack there is. You may think I'm doing diligent. Yatana Shilaha I am. I'm a Yatana Shilaha. And then you are sar pakad ke baithna and saying, kuch ho kyun nahi raha hai? Because there was just a crack from where it was all. So you're filling in that I am not the. Your entire Vedanta class and Vedanta full of Brahma Gyan, and outside body association gets stronger. So every aspect of life you will register as you keep understanding. Your understanding expands and you register how intricate was the lifestyle and how effortlessly they had made it, that anybody who wanted to had a choice to pursue it. So if supposing you don't want to live the mainstream life, you had these places, Tirath Yatras, they had Dharamshalas, they had everything running. You could just choose a way of life. That is how Rishikesh and all these places became that in those days, because anybody who wanted to get away from the mainstream of life would automatically seek to the mountains. Now who seeks to the mountains? Not the seeker. Now the ones who seek are all the travelers, adventurers. But they kept those. See, even if they sought that life, even mountains were associated with gods. What is Kailash Parvat? It's just a mountain peak. But is it a mountain peak? To nobody who has got exposed to a little bit of this, can you de-associate Shiva with Kailash? You think it's his home. That much association is so strongly ingrained in the society. Why? Because you were given an opportunity to choose that life. Those who were inclined, by the Purvam there would be people, Pichle Karam ka Kavi manifestation, by the Purvam, whoever's, and they want to pursue it in this lifetime, there were alternative lifestyles available. That is what gets pointed here. And then the third section, abhi still like one more baki. Pranayama tatparaha kumbhaka akhyam pranayamam kurvanti ityarthaha. So pranayama parayanaha is pranayama tatparaha. Pranayama parayanaha is the moolam word, last word. Shankara gives the meaning pranayam tatparaha. They were tatpar in there, just as yatayaha, yatanashi, वैसे यहाँ पे they are tatpar, they are dedicated, eager, they are enthusiastic, they are eagerly looking forward to it. They want to do it. There is a voluntariness with reference to taking on spiritual practices. The whole culture had it, therefore nobody was forced to do anything. There was a voluntary eagerness to do it because the education part of it was so high. Why they had to do it? Automatically when the education is there, the desire to do it comes up. So tatparta indicated that desire to follow it themselves. The third one, kumbhaka akhyam. The kumbhaka means where you are pausing after both. So you are doing the inhalation yajna, you complete the puraka, offer that with the Ishvara Nama, then you do Rechaka, offer that with the Nama, and both doing is Kumbhaka. That pranayamam some people do. And then in the 30th verse, he is going to talk in of a more last verse where he will give two more, I think two more yajnas, apareniyataharaha pranan praneshu jupati. And then he will conclude the topic by 33rd verse. So we'll take up the 30th verse to Saturday. And Saturday we'll have a longer class and we'll finish this portion. And then I think the rest of the chapter I will send messages whenever there'll be a class. You will not be getting my classes information every month like you get Vedanta Vichar schedule. I will send whenever I'm ready to take a block of classes. So I prefer to take classes like this if you are all okay to, so that there's a little gap in between. I can continue doing what I have to, and then I'll come like this, do justice to the portion, and then since they are now going to be available on YouTube, I'll upload, they'll get uploaded, so you will have time to digest it by yourselves. And then when we meet again, if you have any clarifications on that portion, you can ask, but there'll be no preset time then. This much sure that whatever is continuing will continue. The subject will keep continuing, but every Saturday I don't think is going to be possible. I'd rather choose, like we did Upadesha Saram, I'd rather choose. And now that they're available online, so it's okay if people are listening anyway. Okay. Provided you are all okay to come. You're okay. Since it's a weekday.
That's what.
Me too. In a different context. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.